and mahalo for joining me. I'm Janet, and you're listening to the Called to Create podcast. And yesterday in episode 71, I talked about mindset. So if you didn't have a chance to listen to that episode, stop this recording and go back to episode 71 and listen to that first before you listen to this. I mean, it's your choice, but I talk a little bit about what mindset is and have you thinking about what your mindset is. I hope you find great value about talking about mindset. I think it's kind of like a topic that needs many discussions or many opportunities to learn about it. So I want to talk a little bit more about it today. And I've been learning about mindset for many, many years, and I think I'm still going to be learning about it. But what I titled this to be was, if you set your mind to it. Like, what? And have you ever heard anybody say that? If you just set your mind to it. And is it that simple? And there are like many, many people who have written about mindset, but I want to talk about it with you from a not like a clinical perspective or anything, just like as a friend to friend or like a coach to you talking about mindset and from what I know and understand and what I've learned. But I want to ask you to think about it. Like, have you heard anybody ever or tell you ever, like, all you have to do is just set your mind to it? And it's kind of like, okay, what does that mean? Have you ever thought like that? Like, okay, like, I don't know how to do that. Can you just show me or like explain? But what I think it all comes back to is your mindset is a whole bucket, like I shared yesterday. It's like a whole bucket of things. It's like what you believe in and the thoughts that you have and how you were raised. Everything goes into thinking about your mindset. Like, do you believe you can do something? Do you believe you can't? So I want to talk about what you believe, because I think that's kind of like connected with your mindset, because mindset also is that deep belief you have, the deep belief you have about yourself. Because if you believe that you can't do something, you're gonna think like that, right? Your thoughts and your mind are gonna always go to like, I can't do that. Like, I don't know how. Like, it's too hard, never mind. It's just what you believe just kind of creates your reality. And I always talk about like your thoughts will always create your reality, because what you think and what you believe go hand in hand. And that's just how it works. I've seen it work like that with all the people I've ever talked to, and I've noticed that in myself too. Like, there were really hard things that I thought, I don't know. When people have said like, all you gotta do is set your mind to it, I'm like, really? Like, when it comes to math? Like, I talked about math before, like I don't like math, and like the hard math, the algebra and beyond. But it's like, no, I don't think I can do math. Like, I'm thinking already and believing that I can't do math, all the hard stuff. But it's just that I know I haven't been taught the right way, and I didn't have somebody sit down with me one on one, teaching me. Because I'm not one of those that I can just watch the teacher have her write a math problem on the board and boom, I got it. Like, for me, it doesn't work that way. I have to be talking about it, doing it, and hearing and having a conversation with somebody and practicing. And so I always believe, like, I can't do math. Like, no, you can't just set your mind to it. Like, don't tell me that. I don't know if you've ever had that thought and feeling, like, stop saying that to me. Because, when you're in school and you see all the other kids in class, and a lot of them, can understand and get the math. And of course, I'm using math because that's what I struggle with. The hard stuff, not the plus and minus and division and multiplication. That's easy. I'm just talking about more complex things. Like, you start to think like, okay, they can do it, but I cannot. Like, what's going on? So you start to believe things about yourself. And I mentioned that yesterday, like how you grow up and how your parents treat you and what they've told you. And all of these things play into what you believe. Now, I've said it before, just because you believe something doesn't make it true. That's sometimes always the case. Like we believe things, like I believe things about myself that wasn't true. But when I think about it so much, like that's all I'm thinking. Like, okay, this is it. This is true because I believe it, right? And I don't know why we listen to ourselves more than we listen to anybody else who has better information or who can teach us better. But think about that. Are you the type of person where your belief is so strong that you think like, no, I can't do this. Your mindset is all about your thinking and your believing in something. So question that today. Question what you believe about your mindset and what you're thinking. Because mindset, if you have a positive mindset that you can learn new things and do things even though it's hard, that'll help you to be able to learn and grow and change your mindset to being more positive and getting on that road to accomplishing things. Because if you don't have a positive mindset about yourself and whether you can accomplish or learn things, then it's going to be really hard for you to have success in anything. Now, I don't know if right now you recognize that you're struggling in something or not, but if you are, I would say take a look at it. I always recommend writing things down. That's where, things come alive is when you put it on paper. And, when it's up in your mind and you're just constantly thinking about it, it's like it's just going around and around and around in circles. And it's hard to see a lot of times what you're thinking and what is going on because it's just constantly, it's like an endless loop. But when you can get that endless loop out on paper, like all of a sudden it comes alive and it's like a blueprint that you can see, like, oh, that's what I've been thinking, or that's what I believe, or that's what's happening. So write it out today, what your mindset is and what you're believing about yourself, because those two things go together. Like it's not separated, it's together. And get that blueprint out on paper so that if there's something that's blocking you to success or working towards your dreams, I talk about that a lot. You need to start working on your dreams if you haven't been. If you've got a dream deep down in your heart that you have, bring it out, start working at it, working towards it. But you can't do that if you don't write it down, because what's up here and what's in here is different than what's on here, what's on your paper. Okay, so I want you to do that today. Think about your mindset and what you believe about yourself and your thoughts and your mindset. All right, I know you can do it because I do this and I'm teaching what I do and the things that I've done. So I'm not just teaching something arbitrary and, out of the blue. Do this today for yourself. You deserve to create a life that you want. Even though you're going to have struggles, it's still possible to create a life that you want as well. And please share this podcast with anyone who you know would get great value out of listening to it. Or if you know someone who's thinking about starting a business, whether it's part-time or full-time, or someone who wants to change their life a little bit. And I want to invite you to the Call to Create podcast Facebook group. And I want to be able to help you. I want to answer your questions. And that's a place for you to go where I can connect with you and answer your questions. And you can collaborate and connect with other members in the group. And you'll find great value there. So I want you to head on over to bit.ly/call to create podcast. You'll love it there. And I also want to ask you another favor. If you can please take a minute to rate and review this podcast. And if you're listening to this in the Apple Podcast app, you can actually rate and write a review right there at the bottom of this show. As soon as you open up my show, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and you can rate however many stars. But reviews are so important because they tell potential listeners and even Apple that this show is worth listening to. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And you make sure you have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Call to Create podcast. Aloha.